Right now, you have a phone in your pocket with access to every movie, song, and conversation ever made. And somehow, you still get bored. So here's a question nobody ever thinks to ask. What did people do 200,000 years ago when there was absolutely nothing? No screen, no music, no book, just time. Empty, open, unstructured time. What did they do with it? The answer did not just change how they spent their days. It changed what the human brain became. And it explains almost everything about who you are right now. Let us go back. 200,000 years. A small group of ancient humans sitting around a fire. The hunting is done for the day. The food is eaten. There is nothing left that needs doing. And right there, in that moment of nothing, something extraordinary started. Not because they planned it, because they had nothing else to do. Boredom built the human mind. For a long time, scientists assumed ancient humans were far too busy to ever get bored. Every waking moment must have been hunting, foraging, staying alive, no free time, constant survival, no room for boredom. That assumption turned out to be completely wrong. In the 1,960 seconds, an anthropologist spent years with one of the last groups on Earth still living like our ancestors. The Kung people of the Kalahari Desert. He tracked exactly how many hours per week they actually worked to survive. The answer was about 15 to 20 hours per week. Not per day, per week. The rest of the time they rested, talked, sat, and did nothing in particular. He called them the original affluent society. Not because they had things, because they had time. More free time than most modern humans ever get. So ancient humans definitely got bored. The real question is what happened inside their brains when they did. Because boredom, it turns out, is not emptiness. It is the brain searching for something worth doing. And what it found changed everything. Let us start with the most obvious thing they did. They played. This sounds simple. It is not. In 2004, researchers found something remarkable in a cave in South Africa. A collection of tiny shells, each one with a small hole drilled through the center. 75,000 years old. These were not tools, not weapons, not food. Someone had spent hours, maybe days, carefully drilling tiny holes through small shells to make jewelry. The oldest known decorative object in all of human history did not come from necessity, did not come from danger. It came from a slow afternoon with nothing else to do. Boredom invented art. Making those shells would have taken hours. Drilling through hard shell with a stone tool, no electricity, no metal, that is a very long afternoon. And they did it anyway, because the alternative was staring at the cave wall. Necessity did not invent art, boredom did. The same story shows up with music. In 2008, researchers found a small flute in a cave in Germany. It was made from the hollow bone of a vulture wing. 5-finger holes, perfectly spaced. 40,000 years old. Someone 40,000 years ago invented music. Not because they had to, not to survive, because they had a free afternoon and a bird bone. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin argues that musical ability is actually older than language. Our brains were wired for rhythm and melody before we could form complex sentences. Because rhythm is pattern recognition, and pattern recognition kept us alive. Music was pattern recognition turned into something beautiful. Boredom did not just invent art and music, it invented something far more powerful. Imagination. Think about this carefully. You cannot be bored without having a sense of time. To feel bored, you have to know this moment is lasting too long, that something else could be happening right now, that the future exists. And it could be better than this. Boredom is the first sign a brain can imagine things that do not exist yet. A dog waiting for its owner is not bored. It is just waiting. It does not have a concept of what else it could be doing. But a human sitting in a cave 100,000 years ago with nothing to do starts to think. What if the hunt goes wrong tomorrow? What is beyond that mountain? Where did the dead go? Every question religion has ever asked started this exact same way. Someone was bored and their mind started wandering. Every question philosophy has ever explored. Every question science is still trying to answer. All of them started in a moment of empty time. A brain that refused to stay empty. In 2013, a researcher proved boredom increases creative output significantly. She gave people the most boring task she could design, copying numbers from a phone book, then immediately tested their creativity afterward. The bored group dramatically outperformed everyone else, because boredom forces the brain to generate its own stimulation, and the brain, when left to its own devices, is extraordinary. But boredom created one more thing, the most important thing it ever made. They talked, not about hunting, not about where to find water. When the work was done and the fire was going and there was nothing pressing, they talked about each other. Who did what? Who said what to whom? What happened to someone you both know? Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying what humans talk about when nothing important needs discussing. His finding was this. Roughly 65% of all human conversation is social gossip. Who did what? Who said what? What happened to someone you both know? This sounds like a complete waste of time. It was not. Dunbar argues language itself did not evolve to coordinate hunts. It evolved for social bonding. Before language, primates bonded through physical grooming, picking through each other's fur, one-to-one, only one friend at a time. Grooming takes enormous time. You can only bond with one individual at once. Language replaced grooming. Now you could bond with 3 people at once. 10. A whole group around a fire. You could build trust with people you had never even touched. You could talk about someone who was not even there, and strengthen your bond with the people who were listening. Language did not emerge because we needed to coordinate hunting parties. It emerged because we were bored around a fire and started talking about each other. Boredom invented gossip, and gossip invented society. Think about what this means. Art, music, religion, philosophy, science, language, society, all of it traces back to the same moment. Someone had nothing to do, and their brain refused to accept emptiness. So here is where we have ended up. 75,000 years ago, someone bored in a cave made a bead. 40,000 years ago, someone bored in a different cave made a flute. And somewhere in between, people with empty time started asking questions nobody had answers to. About death, about the sky, about why things are the way they are. Some of those questions became religion, some became science, some became philosophy, some became art. All of it started in the same place, an empty afternoon, a brain that would not stay quiet. Now here's the part nobody talks about. Modern psychology has a name for what happens when you eliminate boredom completely. They call it cognitive overload. When every moment is filled with input, the brain never gets to do what it does in the quiet moments. Process what happened today, consolidate what was learned, create something new. The default mode network activates when you are doing nothing. It is the same network responsible for creativity, self-reflection, and empathy. It only switches on when you are genuinely bored. We spent 300,000 years learning to fill silence with something meaningful. Then we invented the smartphone. And we have been filling every silence ever since. Standing in a line, phone out, lying in bed, unable to sleep. Phone out. Every moment of potential boredom immediately eliminated. The ancient bead maker sat for hours drilling through a shell because there was nothing else to reach for. And out of that forced emptiness came 75,000 years of human art. The bone flute player had a free afternoon and a bird bone. No streaming service, no playlist, no suggestions algorithm, just silence. And out of that silence came 40,000 years of human music. The philosophers who asked, where do we go when we die, were not distracted from that question by notifications. They sat with it for hours, sometimes for years. And out of sitting with it came religion, philosophy, and science. We do not sit with things anymore, we Google them, which gives you information. But not understanding. Understanding requires sitting with something long enough for it to settle. That requires time, empty, uncomfortable, boring time. But every time you put the phone down and sit with nothing for a moment, every time your mind starts to wander and you let it, you are doing exactly what the person in the cave was doing. The same thing that made the bead, the same thing that made the flute, the same thing that looked up at the stars and started asking why. Boredom did not hold ancient humans back. It built them. Art, music, language, religion, science, philosophy, everything that makes us different from every other animal on Earth, grew from someone having nothing to do and a brain that could not stand the silence. Next time you are bored and you reach for your phone, just stop. For one moment, let the boredom be there. See what your brain does with it. It has been waiting 300,000 years for the chance. Subscribe to Ancivex, a new ancient history video every 2 days.